2009. That was like the worst year of my life. My grandmother got murdered, and I wanted to take this moment with you guys to talk about that, because I've learned so much from the murder of my grandmother. Just to take you back in time, and why I'm doing this, like just the reason I'm doing this, because today is Tuesday, what is it? It's the 4th of February. So yesterday, the 3rd of February, production company called me and said that on Thursday, so the 6th of February 2025, a new documentary about my grandmother will go live on ViaPlay, so in Sweden, will go live, that they filmed before I left Sweden to live van life in Europe. So they called me, and like 9 on Thursday, the documentary series go live. So I got, of course, like very excited, but I'm also a little bit scared about what they actually have found out during their like investigation for this program. Like, we know a lot about what happened to my grandmother, but maybe they have found out more details and things that we didn't know. So it's a little bit scary, but I'm also very excited to see what they came up with. Just to take you back in time, and of course, if you want to see the documentary, I put a link down in the description when it's live. I have also done a documentary about the murder of my grandmother, and I will put it also up, like, you know, in the corner and in the description, if that is something you want to check out after watching this video. But I wanted to give you like my story of like the whole thing, what happened. I just need to check, so the sun is coming up, so I need to make sure I'm not overexposed on the camera. But yeah, so it was the 10th of August. Like, the story begins the 10th of August 2029. I'm just entering in a few days my last year in high school. I am, you know, how old was I? Yeah, I was 17. Yeah, I was 17 years old. I was actually on my last like days on summer vacation from school, and I was on an island named Gotland there in Sweden. And yeah, I wake up together with my then boyfriend that I had back then, and I wake up, and like 8 a.m. in the morning, I receive a phone call from my father. And he's like in panic. He just tells me like, hey, Therese, I don't know how to say this, but Granny's house have burned down during the night. Granny is missing, and also this guy that she was dating, he's also missing. But both of their cars are outside the house. That is everything I know so far. And I was like, okay. And from that moment, I just had the gut feeling that something was completely off. I'm gonna turn my exposure down a little bit so I'm not super exposed. So yeah, I just had this feeling in my gut, like, she's in the house. She is in the house. So yeah, of course, the hours went by, and I just tried to go out on the internet. Back then, the internet wasn't super good. So I tried to go out on the internet, seeing the news on like the local newspapers, that was in her area. She lived up in Härjedalen in Jämtland in Sweden. So she was like up in the north. And my father was like, I'm jumping into the car. I will drive there. It was like a 5-hour drive for him. But he's like, I'm jumping into the car. And he started driving. And then maybe 1-2 hours after, I think he called me the second time around 10. And he calls me and he says like, yeah, they have found 2 bodies in the house. And I remember when I'm just receiving this call, I'm standing on my ex-boyfriend's like little balcony on his house on Gotland, and I just like crash on the balcony, and I can honestly not remember anything after that moment because everything just turned black. I don't remember how I got from Gotland. I don't remember how I left the island. I just remember when I was there, I crashed in grief and sorrow and just devastation. And then I was up in the ruins of the house. And I mean, yeah, after that I was just up in the house. Or where the house have been standing, and no one understood anything. No one could believe what just have happened. And after the police started to investigate, I also got to like for my documentary when it was 10 years since my grandmother got murdered. I filmed a documentary. So 2019 I filmed a documentary, and I talked to the firefighter that had been finding actually grandmother, and she was like, or he was in the rescue team. And I talked to him, and I got to know a lot of more information about the whole situation when he found her and everything. And now I lost the thread. lost my thread. So I talked to him for my documentary, and I got to know a lot of more information, and I did my documentary about this murder when it was 10 years ago. She died. And I wanted to make an impact of women who are in domestic violence. I wanted to learn myself what happens, like how can it go so far? How can a woman be in that situation that they get murdered? Because it's not coming just like that. It's a process. And I learned a lot about like the process of how someone can be manipulated and it get normalized to think low of yourself. I've experienced that myself in a bit, so now I understand like the process of how you go from just small words, like just words that will push you down, like you don't have any friends. I've listened to you don't have any friends, no one wants to be with you, you are annoying, you are this and that and that. And my grandmother, she had been through a lot, and like she was hit by her parents, and since she was a child, she got violence in her home. So I mean, it's not something, it's of course big, but it's like it's graduating and coming in steps to be in a situation like this, because you don't feel in your soul that you're worthy of anything better, so you stick to a relationship, you stick to something that isn't good for you. But what I also wanted to tell, like why I'm doing this talk to you guys is because I really want to, first of all, highlight my grandmother, because I don't want her to be a number in the statistic. And these kind of things really happens, even in Sweden. I mean, even in Sweden. And also share my perspective, because, I was in the last year of high school. I remember when I came to school, like, I'm always like this super positive, like, good morning to everyone in the morning. And I'm always like super outgoing around people. And I'm coming to school and I'm just devastated. Like, no one recognized me. I was, of course, in grief. I'm entering my last year in high school, and I remember I was sitting in a class, and I was just like hanging over the table, like, I was just grieving. And one of my classmates, a guy that's trying to be like funny, he's like looking at me, and he was like, Therese, what's up with you? Do you have your period or something? And I am going crazy. And I was like screaming to him all over the classroom, like, no, fucker. Sorry for swearing, but I was like super hard on him. And like, no, my grandmother have fucking just died and got murdered. And then I just went out from the classroom, and everyone was like, oh. And my teacher had been like, like, you should really think about what you say to people, because you have no idea what people go through. And he had absolutely no idea of what I was going through right then. Okay, so but something that really happened, or something that I went through during this whole drama, was that in school they really took care of me. I had, the curator, she was talking to me all the time, checking in on me, but they also offered like an extra course in the school that named DISA, maybe in English. And in this program, they helped you to go through like negative thoughts. Some of the thoughts that I had was around me not being enough. Like, oh, I should have called grandmother. I should have done this. I was like taking the responsibility of the murder of her, which is super crazy because I had nothing, of course, to do with it. But in my head, I was creating stories that, oh, I should have done this. I should have been there. I should have da 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 da. And one of the exercises that have helped me a lot after that to really deal with my negative thoughts is that we got an exercise where we wrote up like the negative thought we had on one side. Like, for instance, I didn't call her in time. And then on the other side, we would write the opposite of it, or like responding to that thought. Like, for instance, I didn't call her in time. And I would write, yeah, but I mean, I didn't know what would gonna happen, or it's not my fault, and I loved her, and I did everything I could. So like writing the other, like the positive side of a thought. And that course really taught me that I can change all thoughts into positive ones. And I have really used that for the rest of my life. So something bad turned out to be one of the greatest blessings that I've learned. To change my negative thoughts to positive ones. Of course I struggle with negative thoughts too, but I can keep a positive mindset most of the time. And that helps me a lot in my life today. Also this, like, everything is what you make it to. Like, you can be a victim of it. You can like go around and feel like you are the biggest victim of them all. The police should have done this, they should have done that, I should have done that. Or you can do something with the things that happens to your life. For instance, I made the documentary. I won a prize for it at Västerås Film Festival. 2019 for my documentary, I made people aware of my grandmother. Now, a big production company in Sweden brought it up and brought it to, ViaPlay. That's the biggest thing in Sweden, to have, a video and a film on ViaPlay. That's huge. And they wouldn't have known about my grandmother unless they have seen my documentary on YouTube, because they called me in the summer 2024. They just called me like, hey Therese, like 5 p.m. on a Saturday during the summer, and like, hi Therese, we have watched your documentary on YouTube, and we really want to like have your grandmother in an episode on ViaPlay. And I was like, okay, do you think your family would be okay with this? I was like, yeah, of course, I've already done a documentary about this, so yeah, they are already on board with sharing her story. So I mean, if I wouldn't have done that, I've received so many messages from women all around in my community that also have like, hi, do you know that I live under like secret personal information, and I'm living in secret. I have gone through this, like, thank you so much. I've got so much praise for my documentary that it have actually helped people, like, seeing things. So, and it also have helped me to see things that I've been through and so on. So I mean, you can choose to be a victim of things, or you can choose to make something good out of every situation. Like, for instance, no one wants to listen to someone that have gone through a super like perfect life, perfect parents, perfect situations. Like, no one you listen to that is inspiring for you have had a perfect life. Everyone is talking about how they went through a disaster, or like their childhood was like this, or I got beaten, or I got this and this and this. And then you get inspired by people. It's just what you do with it. Like what's it called in English? Like two siblings that are born in the same time. I don't remember what's it called. Tvillingar in Swedish. Okay, whatever. But two people that have been born in the same time, being in the same, being in the stomach of the mother for the same time, can come out, and the one person can be a criminal and the other one can be super rich and super successful, and they both can have what kind of option did I have for after my childhood. So it's all depending on what you are doing with the things that are given to you, and all the situations that are coming to you. Do you make yourself as a victim, or do you do something good about it and changing the story in your head? If you want to see the documentary about my grandmother, I have it on YouTube. I put it in the description, so on, because there are so many details, like about the whole situation, how he murdered her, and how everything unfolded, and how we learned about what happened to her. Like, for instance, when I read the police report on how they think that she had been murdered, that was just devastating. As a 17-year-old reading that from the police, because my father, it was not supposed to get to me. But yeah, I happened to see it on the table, and I read it, and wow, that was hard to read. Like, how she had been shot, how she had been burned, how she had been, what she had been through the last hour or minutes in life. That's terrible. No one wants to die like this. Like, the knowing of how she died the last minutes of her life that she was scared, that she was, you know, suffering. That's the hardest part to swallow and move forward from. But yeah, I wanted to share this because everyone is going through things, and I want to conclude with, like, everyone goes through things. You never know what people are going through behind closed doors, and be nice to people, and like ask someone today, like, how are you really? Because I know it's a lot of tough time. It's a rough time right now, and a lot of people struggling, and a lot, like, financially and everything. So be nice to people, ask them how are you really, listen to them, and just be there for each other. And yeah, take care of each other. Like, the most important thing, like when I live in my van and I travel around and I meet so many people, like, it's not fun to travel around alone, but as soon as you have other people around you, all the memories that you have is together with other people. So be careful with them, and take care of them that are good for you. So yeah, I just wanted to give that to you today, and you decide how you want your life and how you want your mindset to be. You can decide if you want to be a victim or if you want to do something with it. Okay, that was everything from me today. I hope you like this format. I will try to upload 2 times a week, actually, on Wednesdays, and like having talks like this, and on Sundays trying to have my vlogs and more sharing more of my van life stories.